So one challenge you might have with a sound like this is getting the kick to come through with that really complex, crazy synth sound. It has a lot of bass already. Your kick drum is going to be bass heavy, and getting the two to interact properly is going to be a difficult thing. One solution is to put a compressor on your dubstep track and sidechain it to the kick drum, so that every time the kick drum hits, the volume of your dubstep bass comes down. And I'll be using iZotope's Alloy plugin for this, which is a great plugin for the sidechain compression. Let's try it out. So I have Alloy, and you'll notice if you're using Alloy, it looks a lot like Ozone. You have very much the same components: equalizer, exciters, transient, shapers, and we're worried mostly about the dynamics tools. And I'll be using the dynamics section here. It's going to be a single band compressor. We just have to make sure it's listening to the kick drum. So to do that, I come into my dynamics section. This is my compressor. Click on this kind of chain link, and I can say the compressor is going to be listening to or detecting external, which is going to be using the sidechain input, and hit OK. So that's just saying external in general. I have to now use kind of Logic's menu to choose which bus to be listening to, and I'll choose bus 3. And I'm choosing bus 3 because if I go into my mixing board, I set this up earlier, I have my kick drum right here, and it has a send that's going to bus 3. And when I'm doing this, I usually set that send to be pre-fader. And that is so if I change this level, it's not going to change what's going to all my sidechain compressors. And that's just going to make things a little easier to mix. If I do change the level of the kick drum, it's not going to change how much my dubstep bass is coming in and out. It also allows me to take this kick drum all the way out and still hear that ducking, which is a neat sound where you have no kick, but you still hear the dubstep stuff come in and out. And let's hear this in action. I'll open up Alloy again. And to make this work, we'll set our threshold kind of moderately and do a pretty intense ratio, just so we can hear it at first. We may back it off later, but we'll go pretty high ratio now, and let's hear this thing in action. So right now you can already hear that the dubstep stuff is going way down every time the kick hits. To make that obvious, what I'll do is actually just, like I said, turn the kick off entirely, and let's hear it now. So we can hear, even with the kick out, we're still hearing that ducking of the dubstep stuff. Now, that kind of pumping sound we're getting now is really common like trance pads and things, where you really want to hear that pumping. In dubstep, I don't want to hear the pumping so much. I just want to know it's happening. And to reduce that pumping, all we have to do is decrease our release setting in our compressor. And let's hear this in action. I'll leave this playing, and I'll just keep decreasing release setting. And I want it to go down quick and then come back up real quick when that kick stops. I'll bring the kick in now. So you can't even really hear the pumping anymore, but I know it's happening. And I can actually prove it's still happening using another feature that's built into Ozone 5 Advanced. So let's check this out. What I'm going to do is add an overall mastering plugin to the whole mix. Just on my master track, I'll come in here and I'll add Ozone 5 Advanced, and this time the full version. Right away, I'll just choose a preset that I think will work well for this project, and you can just go through and choose presets and find something that works well for your piece. I'll just go with Gentle Tube 3-band master plugin. Let's hear this. So now I'm hearing that kick nice and tight through the whole mix. Everything's going just what I want. This plugin's kind of holding things all together. Now, I want to use a new feature that's built into Ozone 5 Advanced, and that's this kind of great spectrogram waterfall plot. We get some nice imagery of what's going on, and we can also just place this meter tap plugin at various locations in our project to see what the different plugins are actually doing to our spectrum. To show the waterfall plots, I'll enable the meter bridge right here, and we get a great kind of divided up version of the meter bridge. Let's see this in action. So my favorite view is this waterfall plot, which shows you frequency in kind of this direction, time along this direction, and then you have kind of height, which is amplitude. And I can pop this out and just show the waterfall plot nice and big. Let's see it again. So this is a view of my entire mix, but I'd like to see a view of before and after the sidechain compression, so I can really see how much that kick is ducking my dubstep stuff. To do that, I'll have to move Alloy down over here in this track just by one slot. And I'll add here the audio units, iZotope, meter tap, stereo. And I'll just name this meter tap pre-sidechain compression. I'll add another one after Alloy. Audio units, iZotope, stereo. Call this post sidechain compression. Now over in meter bridge, we can view those meter taps and see what that sidechain is doing in this spectrogram analysis. So I'll show meter taps. I'll choose the first one to be pre-sidechain, which will be green, and this one down here to be post-sidechain or after the sidechain compression, and that'll be red. To make this really obvious, at first I'll just put it in 2D mode, and let's just get a view of what's going on. So I just froze the display so I can talk for a moment here. And this is before the sidechain compression, and this is after the sidechain compression. And this moment right here is where the kick drum hit. We see that it's kind of full spectrum right here in the bottom end, but up here there's a gap, right? And that's where the sidechain is cutting those frequencies from the dubstep stuff. And we see that we'll see it throughout this. I'll just keep hitting play. I think there's another one right here. It's a big gap here. That's not there. I'm just going to keep letting this play, just so you can see if you can spot a couple more of those as they go by. Right there. Here. That's a good one here you see, right? This is full spectrum, really dramatic, and when that kick drum hits, it just ducks and cuts all those frequencies and all that volume from our dubstep stuff. So the idea with sidechain compression in this style is you don't want to notice it. It shouldn't be this obvious pumping. It should just be getting out of the way. And what that's going to allow you to do is turn your kick up. The kick will be more obvious and more present in your mix. It's going to be, you know, hitting those clubs just like how you want to. All right. That's Ozone 5 Advanced and using the meter bridge.